Hey everyone, Michael D'Angelo here, and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to share with you some creative warm-up ideas and exercises using my new book called Melodic Systems. And the book is finally here, it is out in the world, and I'm very excited to share that we now have physical editions available on Amazon, and signed copies will be available soon on my website. It was always a goal of mine from the very beginning to have a physical book, something tangible that you can hold in your hands and you can flip through the pages and write notes in, keep track of your progress, have it live on your music stand or on your bookshelf. I have a lot of books that I've been using for 20 plus years, and every time I see it on the bookshelf, it just reminds me of the progress I've made with it. So I'm very honored and proud to have this book live on my bookshelf as well. So if you're interested in purchasing a copy of Melodic Systems, I have links to both the print edition and the digital edition if you like to put your books on a tablet or computer. I have both of those links below. So for now, let's talk about warming up. So I find warming up incredibly important, not only for my hands, but for my brain every time I sit down at the instrument. And whether it's for a practice session or a gig, especially since I've been touring the last few years with the rigors of the road, the travel, maybe not the best sleep or food, I find warming up critical for having good performances day in and day out and keeping me consistent. So it's something that I try to do every day, even at the very least. If I can just get a good warm-up in every day, it keeps my hands healthy, it keeps my mind fresh. It's important to remember that we play a physical instrument, and over time, if we neglect warming up, we can start to have some physical problems later. So especially as I get older, I find it very important to get a good warm-up in each day. But there's a little bit of a caveat sometimes to warming up, especially when we do it every day, and that is we all have our go-to routines, our go-to exercises that we like to do as a warm-up, and that can become monotonous over time, a little bit boring, because especially warm-up exercises are very repetitive. We may warm up our hands effectively, but we may not be warming up our minds effectively. So I like to occasionally mix things up and keep things fresh by adding some musical context to exercises that I already know. And that's where something like Melodic Systems can come in, because the exercises in the book are essentially musical frameworks that you can do any kind of exercise with. And so I thought it would be interesting today to take some familiar exercises that we all know and love and add a musical framework to them using the etudes in Melodic Systems, just to kind of give you some creative ideas and some musical ideas on how you can make your warm-ups more fresh and interesting. So let's get started. All right, so let's start with a classic exercise that we all know and love. If you're in high school drumline, you're definitely going to know this one. This is 8 on a hand, where we play 8 strokes with one hand and then alternate to the opposite hand and play 8 strokes there and then just go from hand to hand. If you're unfamiliar with it, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, there are some variations that people have come up with over the years. For example, playing 8 on a hand, then going to 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then back up to 8 on a hand. There's an exercise that I still like to do almost every day, which is called the pyramid, where you play a count of 16th notes on each hand and go from 1 count all the way up to 12 counts and then back to 1 count. That gets your brain a little bit involved, but we can make things a little bit more musical by keeping the concept of moving from hand to hand, but using an etude from Melodic Systems to tell us when to switch. So I have page 11 here, which is the very first exercise, studies 1-1. And it's quarter and eighth notes in groupings of 1 note. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the right hand and play eighth notes. And then when we reach the next melody note, we're going to switch to the opposite hand. And we're just going to go back and forth. So I'm going to put the first line up on the screen so that you can follow along. And I'll play this at quarter note equals 100. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so you could see that we're maintaining that hand-to-hand movement, but we're playing a lot of different rhythmic groupings. We're playing groups of 3 notes, 4 notes, 2 notes, 5 notes, and that's kind of the beauty of adding this kind of musical framework, is that you're always kind of playing different groupings. So I'll demonstrate the first half of this page a little bit quicker so that you can see all of the different hand-to-hand combinations there are using an exercise like this. So we're going to go to quarter note equals 120. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I especially like the end when you play quarter notes or offbeat eighth notes right in a row. You're essentially playing double strokes, and it's really nice to play doubles that slow, especially when you're starting your warm-up. So that's a great exercise I like to do to get some hand-to-hand movement together. All right, so let's move on to one of our favorite rudiments, and that is the paradiddle. Now, similar to the last exercise where we're going from hand to hand but playing even strokes, paradiddles also get us from hand to hand, and what I like about paradiddles is it also incorporates accents. So we're working on accent control and different heights. So we can use the rhythms in melodic systems to work on different kinds of paradiddles, like single paradiddles, double paradiddles, and triple paradiddles by using the melody notes to signify when we switch to the opposite hand. So we're going to stay on studies 1-1, and instead of playing the underlying eighth note subdivision, we're going to play the underlying 16th note subdivision. Now, if I just played 16th notes and accented the melody, this is what it would look like. Here's at quarter note equals 90. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's a great exercise to do in itself, and you can do that with all of the exercises in melodic systems, just playing the underlying subdivision and accenting the melody. But you may have noticed that all the accents were on the right hand, so you could do it as a right hand lead exercise or a left hand lead exercise. But if we say add a double right before the next melody note, we essentially create a series of paradiddles. So if I broke down the first 2 measures, we would have one count of 16th notes, so right, left, and then we'll put that double in, so right, left, right, right, left. Now we're on the opposite hand, so left, right, left, right, right. So the first measure, double, double, double. Right, so you could see by changing the last 2 notes before any melody note to a double creates these paradiddle combinations. Okay, so I'm now going to demonstrate the first half of Studies 1-1 using this paradiddle framework a little bit quicker at quarter note equals 108. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so you can see all of the different combinations that you can create using these rhythms, and it puts it into, again, a musical context, a musical framework, and I like to think that this bridges the gap between doing a hand exercise on a practice pad to actually putting it on the drum set and using it in a musical setting. So let's do one more exercise. One of my favorites is rolls. All right, so I love rudimental snare drumming. The Wilcoxon books, the Pratt books are some of my most favorite things to work on, and I love open double stroke rolls. It's just one of my favorite things to play and can be really musical when you put a rhythmic framework and a rhythmic context into it. So we're going to jump ahead in the book to section 2, and this is page 25, Melodies 2-5. And similar to what we did in the Paradiddles exercise, we're going to play the underlying 16th note subdivision and we're going to accent the melody. But what we're going to do different this time is instead of just playing the unaccented notes as taps, we're going to play them as diddles. So every unaccented note essentially creates all these roll combinations. So I'll play the first line for you at quarter note equals 84. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so you can hear how musical that is, putting a rhythmic framework to essentially what is a lot of notes. And this reminds me of some of my favorite drummers like Vinnie Colaiuta, Dave Weckl, and Dennis Chambers that use kind of a dense amount of notes, but in a very musical way. And this is a great way to work on that. So I'm going to play the first half of Melodies 2-5 a little bit quicker at quarter note equals 108. 1, 2, 3, 4. So a variation that you can do on this exercise is you can flip the rolls. So instead of playing the underlying 16th note subdivision as diddles, you'll play the underlying 16th note subdivision as taps, and then you'll diddle the melody notes. So that sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I hope that this gave you some new and inspiring exercises to add to your warm-up routine. And I'd love to hear from you. If you have the book and you have some really cool exercises that you've come up with, drop them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. And again, if you're interested in the book, I have links in the description below. And if you enjoyed this lesson, please click the like button. It helps the algorithm. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to the channel. I have a lot more coming soon. And also some big life updates and exciting news to share as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.